Euromaxing. You know, Euromaxing is an internet-driven lifestyle choice that seeks to emulate the more relaxed, hedonistic European lifestyle. It's seen as antithesis to the hustle, bustle of America, a more busy, hectic, global city lifestyles. Low stress, good vibes. That's what it's all about. The daily routine includes getting up without an alarm clock, taking your time over breakfast, hanging about in cafes with friends, reading alone at tables in the street, staring into the middle distance, being very cool, being very chill, being very European. And remember to dress accordingly. Embracing the slower lifestyle, walking, utilising public transport, taking your time, perhaps cycling in a cyclable city, walking in a walkable city. Eating light lunches, eating fresh, eating good. Eating, yes. Enjoying good food, enjoying fresh food, enjoying the olives and the sun-dried tomatoes. Appreciating the aesthetics around you, which many of us don't. Appreciating architecture, appreciating nature, appreciating your fellow man, appreciating walking, gliding slowly through the infrastructure, stopping regularly for an aperitif. Getting outside, walking about, socialising, avoiding the inevitable doom scrolling that so many people do on the internet. Avoiding stress. How important is that? Avoiding stress. I think that is the main take away from all this. It's a lifestyle. It's a wonderful lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that I love to partake in. It's a lifestyle that I think does much for you, does much for your mental health, does much for your social life, but does much to reduce stress. Stress is the killer, and to be avoided at all costs. When you think about it, Europe is the most successful peace project in human history. A mere 80 years ago, it lay in ruins, ashes, its population decimated, and then it was freed from National Socialism and took itself and altered itself slightly and looked towards a peaceful future. That peaceful future has been scarred intermittently by conflict, but it's still a very, very successful peace project. Europe. And we in the UK are part of Europe, and we, like many places in Europe, were decimated and smashed to bits, and our population killed. Our buildings, our ancient monuments, all smashed and blown to bits by bombs and anger and angst, and all this built up and erupted a mere 80 years ago. And what now? What now, you may ask? What now? What now? Pierre is sitting outside his cafe with an espresso, reading his newspaper, smoking a gitane, and loving life. There's an accordion playing in the background, and the world is a good place, and the world is a peaceful place, because Pierre can see through the stress and the angst of everyday life. He doesn't take it home with him. He's Euromaxing. He's relaxing, he's enjoying life. It's idealised, it may not actually happen, but it's a decent project. Euromaxing, we probably all do it to some extent, leaving the house, talking to friends, walking slowly, taking in the air, looking round at the architecture that you ignored before, that you never thought about as you pushed on through busy life, from one meeting to another, from one project to another, from one stress to another. But look around. I always said that I lived for many years, for 50 years, in an industrial town in the northwest of England. And I used to walk down the main street of the town and the shops were there, and I never looked up. And then one day I looked up and the architecture was Victorian and pre-Victorian. And it was beautiful. It was staggering. And so that walk down the town centre then took on a different vibe. I could walk slower, appreciate the architecture, look at the dark windows, the dark, sightless windows, and try and imagine 100, 200 years ago, people standing, looking out of those windows in a different dress, in a different time. That's what we should do. Talk to friends. Find a cafe on a sidewalk. Drink a latte, drink a cappuccino, drink an Americano, drink an espresso, eat a croissant, read a newspaper, read a book, just do anything, just vibe, just chill. There's not enough chill in this world, is there? There is not enough chill. We read the news, we see the news, we may try to avoid the news, but then we walk down the main street of a town and all you get is news because other people are talking about it and you cannot shut it out. So there's always going to be a certain amount of stress piling in. And Euromaxing helps that. I'm hanging the word Euromaxing onto this conversation purely and simply because it gives me a handle. And basically what I'm saying is chill. Take your time. You see like a European, it's this stylised European lifestyle, and we've seen it in the films, haven't we? The films of the 50s, filmed in Europe, with beautiful women, elegantly dressed, perfect. Men in sharp suits, sitting at cafes, drinking coffee, chatting, looking into each other's eyes. Men on bikes in stripy t-shirts with onions around the neck. Now that's a stereotype for you. Consider yourself a hedonist and then smile at the notion. You rebel, you. I'm lucky, I live in a small town, and I've said this, talked about this before, where I live one house away from the main street. The main street is basically less than about 15 seconds walk from my front door, and it was decimated during the railway closures in 1963, but it didn't let that kill it off like we all thought it would. It picked itself up, and now it's just full of artisan shops, good butchers, greengrocers, bakers, lots and lots of cafes and small microbreweries and small microbrewery bars and florists. There's also the co-op and the betting shop and the white goods appliance shop. There's all those, but they all intermingle into this little village that still has much character in its stone cottages and its old pubs. And I love it because it's done that, it's picked itself up, and the thing is, the people patronise it, the people are out there. It's on a summer's day, and we don't get many really hot days over here because in winter it's miserable and damp, and in summer, because we're a maritime island, we're surrounded by water, so in summer it's hot and it's humid, but we can still sit outside those cafes on our main street, a mere 20 seconds walk from my front door, and everybody's out there, and the only difference is we're all talking with a Lancashire accent rather than a gay Paris accent, but we're there, with Euromaxing. There's a vibe about it. When people go out, when you walk about and you've got your briefcase and you've got your backpack and you're going about your business and you're hustling and driving and making more money for the man, because you're not necessarily making it for yourself. And we do it and we do it and we do it and we do it. And then you sit down, you get yourself a coffee, you get yourself a croissant, you sit and there's nothing to do, there's nothing you can do, you don't get your laptop out. Cardinal sin. And the vibe takes over immediately. And initially, we feel a little bit guilty about this because it's not part of our lifetime. We should be out hustling. We should be out hustling and making money for the man, keeping the country going, but not keeping ourselves going, because it's all it's doing is driving ourselves into the ground. And then you feel a bit guilty about it. And then after a while, it's like anything else, isn't it? Once you get used to it, after a few trips to the cafe, after a few sit downs, after a few hours of chatting with friends, over a beer, over a wine, over a coffee, over an aperitif, you get used to it and you value it and you become kind of obsessed with it. I go out there, I mean, I love it. I go out there and sit there on a summer's afternoon and I've got to know the people. We don't know each other's business because it's not very an English thing to do, to ask. But we know each other's dogs, we know each other's kids, we know each other's moods. We know when one of us sits down and there's a problem at the back of your mind, and you know, you can say, have a coffee, tell me about it. Let's work it through before we move on and go our separate ways. Let's Euromaxx. Let's chill. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Sir, I'll see you tomorrow sometime between 10 and 12. Because I don't know when I'm getting up. I don't know how many cups of coffee I'm having before I come out. I don't know what I'm having for my breakfast. I don't know. It will be what it will be. I know we can't do this every day, and it's kind of this, you know, you've got to go to work, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But if you can take an element of this into your life with you, then that will make your life a little bit better. We aren't blessed with a Mediterranean climate. We aren't even blessed with a mid-European climate. We are slightly damper and slightly windier because of our position on the globe. But we can still Euromaxx. We do it all the time. We can Euromaxx in our pubs. Our pubs are a place to go where you can sit before a warm fire in an old oak-smelling pub that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, and drink good beer and chat to an old man in a flat cap sitting there with his whippet and his pint of mild, or his pint of Guinness, or his pint of bitter, and you can just chill. And that's the same, it's just the same. Euromaxing is a lifestyle. We can all Euromaxx in our own environment, because every country, everywhere, no matter how cold, hot, windy, damp, dry, will have an environment where you can sit and chill with friends. Europeans seem to have the monopoly on this insouciant, insolent kind of lifestyle, this look down your nose at everyone else kind of lifestyle. But that is just how it appears. That's just how chilling appears. That's just how not really bothering about what else is going on in the world appears. Just looking after yourself, looking after your brain, looking after your mind, looking after your friendships, just chilling and looking after you. Euromaxing. Let's all Euromaxx to the max. While it's still a trend, because it may disappear and something else may come along, this is far more destructive, less enjoyable, and not as good for the soul. So go on Euromaxx, and Molly and I shall go on Euromaxx, and good for us and good for you, and we shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.